Okay,
Okay.
it is still 9 a.m., Thursday, December 18th, 2025. I'll call this meeting of the Board of Harbor Commissioners for the town of LaPointe to order. This morning with us, we have Susan Widmar.
Here.
We have Michael Collins.
Here.
We have Evan Erickson.
Here.
We have Zach Montang. We have Glenn Carlson.
Here.
We also have Mary Ross. Staff present, we have Katie Kisner. First up on the agenda is public comment. We have Robin Russell via Zoom.
I'd like to make a public comment of wishing the crew Merry Christmas and thank you for working Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. You're here.
Yeah.
If there's no further public comment, let's move on to the minutes of the November 20th meeting.
Oh,
I guess
Yeah.
Cal wasn't with us this morning, but I had a question that I just wanted to ask him about
great.
one of the things. Otherwise, I think you could probably, okay. Where did I put these minutes down? Out of order here.
So we have them for the.
Mail,
Number 8.
go to packets, go into slots.
Yeah.
I wasn't there when it was last night. I wasn't there this morning.
So we also have Cal Lenahan with us via Zoom. Thursday, November 20th minutes. I just have a question under number 7. Cal, have you ever sent over the specs or any information for the fire suppression system?
Yes, I have.
Okay. I guess then I will make a motion to approve or place the minutes of Thursday, November 20th on file as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we could do the other two together.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the minutes of Tuesday, December 2nd and Monday, December 8th.
I'll second.
There's no discussion.
I just have one comment, and I thought the December 8th report was well done, comprehensive, did what it needed to do, so there was a lot of words there.
So,
Anyway, thank you.
thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, Chief Administrative Officer report.
Balance of the Harvest Commission bank accounts as of Monday, December 15th. The Mifflin utility checking account was at $334,330.02. The December revenue as of Monday was at just over 63,000, which was just over 54% budgeted income for the month. At the bar for December, we're on track. I did include all of the November reports, which also includes Mifflin's monthly report to our commission. In that report at the end, they did tag on the North Shore rental log. Down here, right there.
Income question. There was a significant NSF check earlier this month. That's solved.
I've spoken with the party and they're processing everything.
Right. And there was one also earlier this fall. It wasn't that big, but 15th of us. It's either in September or October.
Oh, yes. So yes, I've developed a system with Liz and Kim. Just as far as when
This is here. Okay,
just when those do occur, we have a system down now. Just as far as sending out the town's act is the one that reaches out to, not Miffle. So we know when we receive those funds, and then I notify Miffle of that. And I'm the one that sends the invoices.
Yeah, I'm assuming those are monthly. Well, it doesn't, I guess it doesn't matter.
We don't have too many, but yes,
Right.
we're all on the same page as what we're waiting for.
And on the. There was a huge town hall. Payroll expense, is that for the year? $46,061. Harbor Commission payroll. Is it, we have not reimbursed the town.
Yes, so
Right.
that has not been reimbursed yet. We're looking at right now, and I'm just waiting for these last like 2 payrolls for 2025 to just do it all at once.
On time.
Oh,
That total is looking at right now through November 20th, so 2024. And then all of 2024 and then 2025 up till November 20th, that we're looking at about 86,000 at the moment.
okay, and then that'll just have to come out of the money market.
Yes, which I have, and when we were discussing this in the budget and the funds that would be essentially. If we'd have funds roll over for the next year,
Right.
I didn't factor that in.
Got it. And then just one more, the budget versus actuals, the motor vessel Madeline, 124,000, that's the work that was done in Washburn.
With the paintings, I guess.
Called out to.
Yeah.
So,
It's about
and
the
it might
right
actually
total for
include
the,
a few other things as well. They're trying to get to where they're gonna be the breakdown for the capital projects when they can, as those expenses come in, so we don't have to do it all. Like at the end, so we take that back out of the repairs and supplies and put it where it needs to be.
Yeah, but
anyone have any other questions for Katie or Cal or Robin?
I'm sorry, the last thing I did say about my report is I did include Cal's write-up of that he got from employees as well about the work from show. They went to.
I will move that we place the chief administrative officer's report on file.
I'll second.
There isn't any further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, discussion of late boat requests. I will note that we had another one come in this morning from Kelsey Peterson, which I believe has just been passed on to Miffle for consideration. Along with a number of others.
I just have a question with leaf flats. It was sent November 20th.
Yes.
Got it.
So I responded to that. That was sent to Lauren. Email. It out that it was my email. And that's but we did, I mean, we did discuss that, so that essentially falls under line item 7. For 6 with the discussion of late vote requests, we had this on there specifically for the request that the Harbor Commission was receiving for delaying the 5 to 5:30 for the month of December. Which the schedule committee did meet with Cal to discuss. I don't know, come you guys. Go ahead, thoughts or
mean, what it came down to is that Miffle, doesn't feel like it's safe to push the 5 to a 5:30 due to weather conditions and
For safety,
yeah.
for this chunk, this from December into January. However long they run.
Then also we discussed the 8 AM out of Bayfield being on the schedule and, Miffle indicated that that delay in the schedule is necessary in order to de-ice the boat, get it ready for the next trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the request right up from Cal as to why they're, and that's, I don't know if we want to continue on with the 8 AM or stick with the 5:30, because they're essentially two different line items on the agenda.
I feel like we could move on to the 8 AM,
Okay, so just,
which as we move into running smaller boats, it kind of makes sense if they're full to have other ones in the hour. But also understand the icing issues.
Cal, the niche boat cannot haul a fuel truck? I mean, yes, I'm sure it can haul the small one from, well, Midland didn't get the contract, so, well, he'll come over though for Nelson Construction.
Who didn't get the contract?
Who's doing the fuel for the town? Oh, never mind. Okay, can the niche boat haul a propane semi?
Not a fully loaded one. We ran into a bunch of issues where it weighs the boat down to the point that we can't get on the dock to offload it. So when we get over to the island, it's too low and we can't get over the face to get it off. It's just too heavy. So we end up having to run it on the Queen, and then empty, we can run it back.
Right, okay.
and what we discussed with the 8 AM is that, it doesn't make much sense to begin running it again for 2 weeks. But for next year, there is an option. We did ask Cal to provide a write-up as to all the many reasons that Miffle does benefit by, and the schedule does benefit by not having that 8 AM. So that's what's provided in your stack, but, Cal did mention that, like, it can be done. And we can even do it as like, essentially like a trial year too. So they can keep count and see, because right now we've had like essentially the 2 requests, and I think they both work together. Was that the?
Well, yeah, Leaf Lads, and then their, Steve Mueller, who Leaf Lads are working for.
Oh,
Gotcha. Those are the 2 requests for that 8 AM.
Kelsey.
No,
That's
that's
different. That's different. Yeah.
So it is an option to run that next year to see if it is utilized and is making more of a profit than essentially, or if we benefit more by running it than by not running it. So
Once we
that's-
get down to the Queen and Niche, I mean, I would think that 7 AM is nearly full. And then you have that large gap, and at 9 o'clock, you're probably almost having to run 2 boats anyway. I'm not quite sure what the traffic is like. Especially when we get down to crunch time and the last couple of weeks are running and everyone's trying to get their supplies.
Yeah.
Cal, if the 7 o'clock boat leaves traffic when we're down to the Queen and the Niche, do those people in Bayfield then wait till 8, wait till 9?
So I mean, again, it's all about like what's going on, right? So if the 7 o'clock leaves traffic, and we're not having a bunch of de-ice or de-snow, getting rid of a bunch of snow or ice, or we're not up against a significant weather delay from ice or from a strong wind, of course, we turn around and we come back and we get them. If we are up against some of those things, they may have to wait until 9 or 8:30 to allow us to get that kind of recouped and back on schedule. So I mean, it's one of the things that like I said, we can run it. It's not like it's impossible. It's really just one of these things that it allows us flexibility instead of just forcing boats to run, which I recapped in that report is, it's just to give us a wide range of options to stay on schedule. But of course, whenever we're able to, if we leave someone at 7, or if we're able to run an 8 and it just makes the most amount of sense because we're not going to leave the extra boat on the island to make an 8:30, we've got to run an 8 anyways. But it's allowing that dynamic decision every day. The main boat's covered in ice. We're going to have the extra boat stay on the island and, run the 8:30 to give the main boat time to de-ice. And, the extra boat will make the 8:30 and then the main boat will make the 9. It's just about really having those options. And just to iterate on that, reiterate there, when we leave traffic, it is always a priority. If they showed up for the 7, we try to get them over there as soon as possible. That has always been our goal.
I don't know if we need to take any action, but I would maybe convey that to Mr. Leafblatt,
And Mr. Mueller.
that if they get there for the 7, if weather allows, they'll end up over here. But we're not going to schedule an 8 this time.
For this coming year or
Balance in this season.
For the remainder of the season, yeah.
Okay. Because there's nothing gets published on a rate card. It's all now just online. Except starting January 3rd. Everything is just online. There's no published, the
old
rack card, what they call
The
it.
rec card does cover what we're doing these days.
Right, but it stops on January 2nd. And then there's nothing
Yeah, I get
printed, nothing.
I think Cal makes the case very well in his email, just preserving options, with always the motivation of if the weather allows, make sure nobody's left behind. It's all dependent on weather. I think the case is made clearly here. Do we need to take action? Any kind? I mean, there's
I don't believe so. I think,
good.
Well, we need to inform.
right, other
No,
than,
that's, yeah.
and I could do that. The discussion with you now is for the 2026 schedule that we wanted to keep. And obviously the things, but now it is on for next year to stick with not having the 8 a.m. at this time. Or as Cal had mentioned, that could run it next year as like a trial year to see if it is worth running.
But not wait until December, start it January 3rd.
Yeah.
Next scheduling change.
No, it would start December
Oh, not December.
because it doesn't make much sense. We definitely benefit more by not running it in like January with ice,
True.
everything. So that kind of trial run wouldn't start until December of 2026.
and then how would that impact the ability to get propane, cement? I don't know if that's a
So
window.
that's also one of the biggest pros of this is that, with the propane, it allows so on a day, we're having one a week, it seems like right now. Sometimes 2, we're going to have a pretty major weather event tonight as well. Often on, these more serious weather days, it's way more beneficial to be running the larger boat than putting, this fully loaded propane on the Island Queen. So on a day like today, or, I know we had one last week, it allowed, by not having a scheduled 8, we can put the propane on the 8 and we're not leaving any passengers. And then we can run the propane over to the island. And so that, that really heavy laden boat is on the bigger boat that can handle the weather better. Right. And so that makes it that much easier. And then in the afternoon, we again have the option to say, okay, we can go and get the propane truck during one of the layovers if we have the option to, or we could have, the Queen go over and get the, the empty propane truck, right? So again, and I have that in the report there, that it really allows for flexibility across the board in ensuring that, when a propane is scheduled, they stay on schedule, that we can do those things.
Cement though, Cal, that Zach is another issue, but it's all also weather dependent.
It's-
I mean,
Yeah.
a week ago, who would have thought there'd be cement, but I'm sure people are scheduling stuff for next week because it'll warm up.
They were pouring stuff yesterday.
Yesterday.
Brussels.
And who would have thought,
Yeah,
based on Saturday's weather?
that's possible.
Yeah.
No. It's
Yeah,
possible.
we're hauling as much cement right now as we would in summer. I mean, this last couple of days has been crazy. We're moving a huge amount of cement trucks.
On top of it, you had that giant semi yesterday.
I don't know. Has the scheduling committee talked about this yet prior to this meeting?
The 8th?
For,
The 8th?
for next year, for the upcoming schedule is what Katie was trying to get.
Right.
Are we on item 7 now?
Yes.
Sure.
Sorry, I thought that's what the 8 AM was included in under, that's why I said yeah.
Okay,
So just for clarification then, discussion, number 6, discussion of late vote, that was the parent request? That was for the 5 to 5:30?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of moved now because school's out tomorrow. Were they requesting into January or is the school season over?
I think probably as long as the boats were running, but that's an
Yeah.
assumption.
I think we
Okay.
just didn't have like a formal answer. We're not able to give like a formal answer to the public since it was not brought up at the public briefing.
But didn't a parent submit something via email? Yeah, Heather.
Later. I
Right.
think it was after the meeting.
I was
Right.
like, well, we had a couple of public comments before, yeah.
I think it came in that day.
That's-
Well, I'm inclined to, I don't know if we need a motion or not, but to not alter the schedule through freeze up for all the reasons that Cal has stated.
But
That's-
try it for next year
Yeah,
Well,
But
Right.
try it for next year.
in whatever.
the
I
December.
think that's already on his tentative schedule, the 5:30 through.
November 30th through January 2nd. There isn't an 8 on here.
Right, I think Zach's talking about the,
Five,
The 5:30. It's just 5
it
o'clock.
might have got left out of that last block again, actually.
yeah.
And then I did send this in to Katie. One of the key changes that is even different than what we were talking about, we were kind of alluding to it in our scheduling meeting, but I think is really important is to say that, the December and the January schedule are essentially the same at this point. And so, merging that December and January, is likely just putting it together. And instead of, it'll say December 2nd until heavy ice. And I think that that's what the language should be, not freeze up, because historically speaking, we've always altered the schedule when we got into heavy ice. And one of the things that I was talking about is, leaving as early as 6:45 a.m. to stay on schedule for the 7:30 on the island. So what my proposal would be is that we just say, December 2nd until heavy ice. And, when we start getting close to that heavy ice, we publish a heavy ice schedule that is going to be very adaptive. When we're operating in those conditions, we're going to have to be a little bit more on the fly. I attached 2020, this spring's sort of heavy ice schedule, which we ran, Evan, was proposing this idea during the scheduling committee, was like instead of a 9 running an 8:45. Well, that's what we actually did in earlier this year. And so that I don't know if that's in the packet or not, but essentially the heavy ice schedule that we ran in the before shutdown this year was a 6:45, a 7:30, and then an 8:45 and an 8:30. So it kept the island departure time on the half hour, but it essentially bumped the mainland departure time 15 minutes to allow 45 minutes, essentially, just about for every trip. And then when they get back from the island, they have like a 30 to 15-minute window to try and de-ice, before the next trip. So that'd be my recommendation is just merging December and January into one schedule. Effectively, we will try and run as much as we possibly can, covering that 7 until 5 trips as much as we can, right up until we get into the heavy ice, and then we've really got to adjust the schedule.
We need to finalize this meeting.
A whole 2026 schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing goes to the printer until usually mid-February.
We got time to look at it and tweak it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
At least in the past, nothing's gone to the printer.
I think we were talking about when we get into that heavy ice schedule, it just says on the pamphlet, refer to madferry.com/schedule for current schedule. Rather than trying to post it on the brochure. Plus, most locals are just looking at the website anyway.
Anyway,
Well, I think we've had a great discussion and have some thoughts for how to proceed, but I'm gonna move that we table the 2026 ferry schedule till our next meeting, as far as any decision making.
Second.
If no one has anything else, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on then to the discussion on removal of winter surcharge.
This is one of the things that was brought up in our end of year meeting was the fact that during the winter time, there's a surcharge put on the rates to kind of help cover winter expenses. And some great points were made. I went and looked at one of the ideas was essentially kind of a rate increase during the summer months. So when we were working with trying to figure out revenue for 2025, one of the things I think Robin submitted was our winter surcharge revenue, which is around 20 or 25,000. So using that number kind of as to how much we kind of would need to cover, looking at our prime months of July and August, we would increase the adult ticket by 25 cents to 10.75 during those 2 months. That should create roughly 27,000 in revenue. So instead of charging a select few for a couple months to gain that 25,000, we could select, spread that across many people, and not hit the frequent flyers as hard in the winter time.
Well, and winter surcharge is 4 months,
Yeah,
not just 2.
well, yeah,
And rates are gonna skyrocket next Monday. I mean, a concrete truck all of a sudden is gonna be a heck of a lot more expensive. Because the surcharge goes into effect on the 21st.
I see Robin's on here. Robin, is that 20 to 25,000 number right for how much is collected for the winter surcharge rates? Oh, she's got a microphone.
I'm also curious if the 20% Mag card users is a ballpark.
That is just a random number I threw in there, just to kind of a cushion. I'm sure the 20% is, much more, is an overestimate of, the ratio of cash paying versus Meg card user, during those 2 months.
Why would we do it just for 2 months? Why not go 10 cents all year?
Well, making change
It's in the.
in the ticket sellers.
Call it a surcharge, then you just call it a tariff. And
It's a rate change.
Which we said we were doing.
But when
I
it
thought
comes
I
to,
thought that's kind of what we were looking at doing anyway, was eliminating the surcharge. So you're paying what's on fee or on the brochure, and there's no hidden charges.
Well, no, which years ago, the Fairline had a tiered seasonal rate. There was a
Right,
rate,
yeah.
early season rate, high season rate.
Yep, depending on if it was a Thursday after 5 or.
It was flat. We had a flat cash increase.
Yeah.
We had 3 seasons of cash sale rates. And that got way too confusing.
Yeah.
And they just went to either raising rates across the board or the winter surcharge. And I think it should coincide with the schedule chunk. I think it should go from the proposed June 24th, whatever the high season, to Labor Day, not just July and August, but add the last week of June is the first.
Should we identify it?
Yeah, you can print it on the rat card.
Yeah,
That's how it was handled years ago.
I
It
like
was
that.
clearly
That's-
stated on the rat card
Oh, wow.
that,
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
there was-
I just used July and August numbers because that was nice and easy to plug.
Cal's got something. Go ahead, Cal.
And I just wanted to kind of put in Miffle's opinion on this. We feel it'd be best, and I've talked to the office and tried to look at all the different avenues for this, that it would be best to do, if we're going to drop the surcharge, drop it across the board and not, try and collect, because, the people that are ultimately, saying, hey, we're affected by this in winter, will, yes, also be the same people affected by it in summer. Now it's significantly less. However, I think this would be something better planned into it, potentially a 2027 budget, than, trying to find a stopgap this summer to cover it. We
Tariffs at all.
how much as okay.
Yeah, you got
Start
Also-
over.
Okay. So I've talked to everybody in the office and kind of gone through some of this. I don't have the exact numbers on how much, we're gaining from the winter surcharge right now, but it is our opinion that, we shouldn't just be passing the buck from, the winter to the summer. The same people that are affected in the winter will be affected in the summer. We feel it would be best to say, okay, if we want to get rid of the winter surcharge for this winter, we drop it. And then, for the 2027 budget, we work it into, an overall tariff increase, as opposed to just shuffling, where the quarter is, getting moved, or the surcharge is getting collected. That would be our take on it, is to just not, try and find a new spot to move this to for right now, but to worry about that in a potential 2027 overall tariff increase, and just remove the surcharge.
Can I continue?
Sure.
So I was going to suggest that we basically do what Al's suggesting, as far as not increasing the tariffs in the summer for this year. But I'm wondering, how many islanders have, 35-foot trucks?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a point, eliminate the winter surcharge for anything under 30 feet? And keep the surcharge in effect for the bigger trucks?
And is that sufficient to raise that revenue? I would think that if you take those same vehicles and just put a very, small increase on the plus 30s for the whole season, that it's a reasonable increase.
But then we are increasing the tariff.
I think we were being specific in our annual meeting that we were not targeting vehicles, residential type vehicles and passengers.
Well, it's not, it doesn't seem like it's that much money. The other thing is we can't have that, any change in the tariff go into effect for at least 30 days.
Yep.
And it would appear that probably within 30 days, we may have shut down. And so I think let's defer this.
Yeah,
Discussion.
I didn't mean it to be like approved today. It's just kind of a discussion as to kind of looking into getting rid of that surcharge that, you know,
We could revisit the budget as well and find that 25 grand and just, eliminate it.
Yeah. I mean, today I'd be willing to
Belt tightening.
eliminate the surcharge in 30 days for anything under 30 feet,
Mhm.
if the commission is willing to do that. And we do have this on the next town board agenda for Tuesday.
okay.
And so the town board could also approve that and we could get that into the railroad commission. But again, I think it's perhaps a moot point for this season because it seems likely that we're gonna probably shut down at some point, end of January, beginning of February.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So, I guess I'll move that we table this discussion.
Okay, let's see what Cal has to say first.
I would agree with, I think we're going to get a much better result if we could just say, because again, we're going to have to try and get this through the tariff and get this submitted. If we say, it's our intent for the winter 2026 season to have this in place, and then, we can plan it for the 2027 budget as well. It's just going to be a lot cleaner than trying to, get all of these tiny details figured out immediately. And then again, if it's made very clear by the Harbor Commission that you intend to deal with this going forward, I think we're going to be able to produce a better product and, with less impact on the kind of the everybody involved.
Great. So we have a motion, I'll second. Tabling. All in favor? Opposed? Compensation Resolution 2026.
I move we adopt the compensation resolution as presented.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of 2026 Harbor Commission budget.
I move we approve the 2026 Harbor Commission budget as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, Mayor of Bayfield meeting update. I could start a little bit. So Glenn and I went over and met with I'm going to forget names, but we met with Lynn Cornelius, the mayor of Bayfield, along with the president of the Harbor Commission there, Michelle, yeah, and then another Harbor Commission member, and had a great conversation. They're amenable to not pursuing the head tax, but we likely will be providing some compensation. We haven't in other forums to cover the snow plowing and the police, necessary police for keeping the traffic moving when it backs up. We haven't come up with any numbers, but the method of doing that is going to be likely an addendum to the current MOU that we have with the city of Bayfield regarding that.
Yeah, and right now, we're just waiting for the Harbor Commission, the Bayfield Harbor Commission's attorney, who is Max Lindsay, who's also one of the town's attorneys.
Bayfield?
He has to draft.
Bayfield Town Attorney?
Town of Point.
Point.
He's attorney for
That's
both
why I wanted-
parties, yeah.
Yeah.
He's on both sides.
I'm going to clarify.
So he is actually going to prepare a waiver of conflict for both us and the Harbor Commission over there to sign, probably the town here as well, saying that it's okay for him to draft this, even though, these are adverse parties potentially. And as I told Cal, I don't think I would worry about this at all until after we get that waiver, because, some attorneys are notorious for being untimely with their responses. And so I think it's in their court.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's leave it in their court for now. Where it was left is once we do sign off on the conflict waiver, that it'll be Cal and Katie that'll meet with the Harbor Commission and the Harbor Master over there to figure out. But it did turn out that they weren't as concerned about it being a per head kind of arrangement. They just were responding mostly to other vendors who use the dock and do pay the per head. They think that if we're using it for more than a safe harbor in bad weather, that there should be some compensation over and above what's in the lease agreement. And, we're going to get together with them and figure out, what would be reasonable.
According to this, we do pay a seasonal dockage fee as well as the winter when we rent a slip, Bayfield Goods iced in. Does anyone know what that seasonal dockage fee is?
I believe they just keep a boat out of that slips to allow easier access in and out for our larger vessels. Go ahead, Cal.
So we pay, and I don't have the document in front of me, so this is from memory. So we pay a per foot fee for the area where our old harbor dock connects up to their dock, which is, I believe we're paying about $75 or 75 for 75 feet, which is a few $1,000s. I think it's like two, again, from memory, somewhere in that ballpark. And then, yes, we do also rent the slip adjacent to where our dock is. And that is ultimately because, we impact that slip pretty significantly. We don't want to damage a boat that's in there from our wake and our current. So yeah, we are renting 75 feet of dock frontage and an additional slip. And then as well, we do pay a winter storage fee, space fee, which we have one boat, tied up at our own slip. And then we have one boat tied up on their pier, but the bulk of that fee really is going to the electricity use. These boats are left plugged in. Now we don't run the heat full blast all winter, but that a lot of this is probably going to electricity really at the end of the day.
The other thing was that the mayor did ask if we would write a letter of support for a grant they're trying to get for modification of their dock, which a copy of that letter is in your packet.
Should there be a date on this letter?
Is there a date?
Yes,
Okay,
it's to whom it may concern.
there you go. Yeah, there probably should be a date.
What kind of upgrades are they looking at? What do they?
I haven't seen the grant request, just that they, it's gonna be a harbor, it's gonna be a harbor assistance program project.
Yeah, I think they got multiple options they're looking at.
Cal may have an answer to that.
Yeah, so they are looking, their docks over there, their piling is getting eaten up. And those small finger piers are getting eaten up. And so they're looking to remove those piers and, reconfigure the dock. And they're working between, I think the cheapest option is just removing the piers and doing nothing and just having a flat wall on each side, or going as far as adding new finger piers. And I talked to them, I don't know if they have that plan, but they have kind of the range of plans. And they did consult us, and we have talked to them about making slips more commercial friendly, allowing for potential that slip that we're already renting off to the side there, being able to put a ferry in there and utilize that better, because we are at a shortage of space, when we're having to shuffle ferries around for weather. So at least then if we're, renting that space already, then we could put, one of our ferries there as a tie-up. So I think they have kind of a wide range of what they're looking at doing, but the ferry line has put in their kind of 2 cents on it. And it may very well benefit us.
Thank you, Kel.
One interesting takeaway from that meeting for me was the amount of work that they had to go through and expense to be able to handle the traffic from the cruise boats that come through.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
They had to make significant
Yeah.
upgrades. They had to like buy these proper barricades. They had to have sort of like a light duty TSA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Border Patrol people in. And if I remember right, I think cruise service pays 14,000 per visit. Oh,
It was up in that neighborhood.
Not the Apostolic Cruise Service.
no, they like the Vikings or whatever.
Yeah, it was at least 10. I
Yeah,
remember.
there was a significant dockage fee. I
Yeah.
remember that.
So
That's all I have.
all I have, let's move on then to number 12, rapid response communications.
Like in the last meeting that was requested to be an agenda item. Assuming it fell under kind of with the social media.
Oh, okay.
I think the thing that prompted the discussion
Okay.
is that something pops up in social media, we don't want to have to wait to a meeting or a gazette before there's an informed response. We now have a mechanism for that response. There's a place on the town website for the Harbor Commission.
Doesn't necessarily catch the
That's it.
social media
Yeah.
Right.
with all the,
Yep.
Have you given any further thought to that Island Harbor Commission Facebook page?
You could, whatever,
I don't know that we need a full page. We could create one. If you wanted to take it upon yourself to create one, I don't think I would have a problem with it. It would be.
No, I
I
think it would be I do think it would be nice if there was a persona selected as the Harbor Commission that can join the Madeline community page.
yeah, I think if you were to create a second profile
Yeah,
as Harbor Commission, something or other,
right.
then you would be able to engage
Okay,
that way. And it's fairly simple to do and you can switch back and forth between the two.
right, right. I used to have one for my dog.
Well, let's put him in charge.
Oh, there you go.
as a mechanism for doing something like that.
Yeah.
The identifier of I think should be you, Katie, that something pops up that we need to respond to, or that you've heard about, or someone's told you about. There needs to
I think we were trying to avoid that in the
Yeah.
last meeting. I don't know that Katie wants.
Just as far as social media goes, I'm not,
Oh, you're not there.
I mean, I am, but
We
I'm
need a
not.
mechanism to say, oh, we need to respond.
And it's kind of there. Everyone sees there was the post about the
Yeah.
requesting later boats and Susan and Evan both jumped in and they handled it very well.
I thought so too. Yeah. So
The question is,
Just
do
leave
we
it at that.
want to formalize that? I mean, I don't know that we need any kind of action, but
I'm just help
keep your eye
general.
open, Susie.
Well, and
I don't think there's any need to, I mean, really, if the public has, comment or question, they should either email into Katie or come to a meeting.
But and didn't, but the most recent one with the 5 to 5:30.
Yeah.
Sam Dobson as a town elected official said, please submit your comments.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's the question, and she jumped on that. That was
Yeah.
like one of the first responses.
Yeah.
But then, of course, everybody else went on.
of course.
taxes.
Yeah, no tax, sorry.
But I would say that, I mean, we could consider having a page also as like the police have one as a method of putting out if we have like special boats that are locked in for Big Top or running later for a known reason.
I
mean, we
don't
had-
think it has
there
to
was
be
the-
its own page. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't either,
To talk.
because that party could post, but we could consider it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, in the last, Susie was.
We had the late boat that ran for the Bayfield School concert. And
Right.
normally someone puts that out on social media, whether it's Bayfield School, and no one knew anything about it. I wouldn't have known about it had there not been Northern Lights that night. And I think I know that Jay had a few people come to him and they were upset that it
Yeah, I
wasn't,
don't
that it
blame-
wasn't published
Yeah.
or put out there, because they
Yeah.
might have utilized it.
Sure.
So I think we gotta watch that coming,
Well,
going forward. And I think this falls right into that, because when we know there's an event or a special boat, then you could get on.
That has become one of the better ways to know what's going on around here. It's not Facebook, unless of course somebody's paying tribute to someone who just passed and never mentions that person's name. Then all of a sudden, everybody's running around, going, who died?
Cal?
We got to avoid that.
And I just want to, on that same note of posting it, you know, one of the, we have, when people have called in, we've told them, hey, the parents will call in, is there a boat for the student X fair or whatever. One of the issues that we have been pushing pretty heavily for, though, is whoever is the person securing that ferry, such as if it's Big Top or if it's the school, that they're responsible for, publishing it, because one of the issues that we run into is that they'll cancel it, so they'll say on Tuesday, no, actually, and this has happened multiple times this year already. It's supposed to run on Wednesday, and on Tuesday they say they don't need it, right? And so I stand the crew down so that we don't have to pay, the crew to show up, because the school has said that they don't need it. And so it is one of those things that, our take on it is who's ever hosting the event is responsible for distributing, the communication of the event, because they're the ones ultimately that are, in most cases paying for it. And so they cancel it. They then have to notify everybody that it's canceled. And, that was just this issue that we kept running into at the school this year, where we had crew show up to a trip that they said 100% that they were going to run, and nobody showed up. And so, then the crew just went sent home. Nobody was there. And then we had the same problem again and again and again. So that's really where we're at. And, I'm just kind of putting that out there as information that is how a lot of these events have gone, like a Big Top cancels or moves, something along those lines. Then whoever posted it, either we have to run it, even if they canceled it, because it's out there, or we have to then go and notify all of the involved parties that it's canceled.
I think that's very fair.
I think it would be nice if somebody would put me on that alert list. I'd be happy to go to the school board page, scrape it up and throw it in the community page if people don't think to go there. But it is coming from the other people. Credits the correct source as Cal's describing it. So, but I still have to find out myself. if
Right.
it's
What do you need to get access to?
the information that a trip has been canceled, like a special trip's been canceled
Or even scheduled.
or even scheduled.
Is this a school notification?
Well, this is what Cal's talking about.
Could be
If the school-
private, it could be a school.
Teacher conferences was canceled.
Right,
Bayfield said they didn't need it.
Okay.
And Miffle had scheduled a late trip.
Right.
right.
So then, as Cal said, he called off, it was 24-hour notice, he called off the crew, the trip didn't run.
Right.
Whereas if.
But the
if
public
it
really
had,
has, yeah.
there might have been someone who said, oh, let's go to Ashland and have dinner and we
Yeah.
can catch the 8 o'clock boat back to the island.
Right.
And then they're. they
Yeah,
get that
I
boat.
mean,
Yeah.
That boat.
so if people are saying they're not being told about it, and we're saying they booked it, they screwed up, or whatever they did, I'm willing to share out their message through Facebook and our community page, so long as it's something that I've picked up from their post. So the onus is still theirs. But I wouldn't want to originate
No.
the message.
Job of the people.
I don't think the Bayfield School District posts, I think it's word of mouth to the parents.
Well, then it's gotta be word of mouth to the ferry line. Somebody knows my text
Well,
number.
we okayed those late
Yeah,
trips.
that's what I was saying,
It, it comes to us first.
yeah.
Well, I agree, but somewhere along the line, Cal could text me, Katie could text me, go look up this, boat thing and handle it, Facebook. Because I'm not finding out about a lot of that stuff.
But I don't. think
Anybody
so.
else?
I don't.
Well, but they have to call and cancel it. Or they don't, they didn't. Is that the
I thought they did. I thought Cal said they gave him 20.
24 hours?
How did they?
Yeah. So there's like kind of two situations that happen. Yes, there are situations where, I send out an email and I say, hey, confirming everything's looking good for tomorrow. The weather's looking good. I don't see, especially this time of year, I don't see any issues. We're going to be able to run it just as a final confirmation, to which I have been told at that, 24-hour marker, oh, we do not need it. It's been canceled. So then at that point, yes, I mean, it is canceled. I know it's canceled, and yes, we could distribute that information. Then there's the other side of it, which is, there's been several times where they didn't notify people, or maybe they didn't need it, or they crossed some wires, where I have asked, do we need a trip tomorrow at 7 p.m.? Is that confirmed? They say, yes, confirmed. And, the crew shows up and nobody's there. Right. And so there's kind of both situations. And again, if somebody was depending on it in the second situation, well, the crew would be there and we'd run them if we never got told to not run. But that's really where we're trying to say, we can't keep track of all of the people involved or all the people depending on it. So we're just trying to say, this is your boat. You've reserved it. It is, their responsibility to communicate it. But yes, in a situation where they gave me 24 hours, I certainly would be able to pass that, or Katie, would be able to pass that along. But that is one of the caveats of this, that, and this is what we run into all the time with a scheduled trip is, people make plans, reservations, flights, hotels, whatever it may be. And then, in 24 hours we cancel, they tend to, they don't just say, oh, well, thanks for the heads up. They say, I was, I already made my reservations, I already made my plans. So that can be difficult as well.
I think you may have just identified the mechanism by which Susan could be notified, which would be CCing or BCCing her in on the final confirmation email between the other party. And then depending on what it is, majority of the time, the school trips are kind of locked in. It's probably rare that they're canceled. So.
What happens?
Yeah, it does.
Well, cancellation.
And this is where that's identified as
Yeah,
confirmation.
I think you're right.
But it's also part of the no-show thing, is that
Yeah.
if more people knew about it, whatever. Can we get some sort of agreement on that?
I don't think it's quite as cut and dry.
Right,
Able to put a fine point on right now.
okay.
Yeah.
I can just, and Katie and I have discussed this, about Katie helping in the role of, these schedulings and, dealing with some of these situations. I'll just say for right now, as on my end, I don't think a motion will be needed. I'll make sure that, Katie is CC'd at a minimum on, those correspondence with the school and those confirmations, and at least we have that going from there. And then, Katie can work out distribution to whomever in the Harbor Commission.
That's fair.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
I do get immediate notification of emails from the town.
Shall we move on to approval of bills?
Yep.
I will move that we pay the bills as presented in the amount of $246,912.64.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Future agendas.
When's our next meeting? I know that's
That's next. That's next.
It's always part of that. I know. But it frames the answer to your question.
Maybe we could switch them around.
Yeah, I think we might.
I'd like to see that, Cal had talked about contacting the school to see if they could move events from Wednesday night to Thursday nights.
That would make sense, yeah.
We should do that for this coming spring. To get that ball rolling before it's too.
Before the
From the event.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cal.
And to help with that as well, we did, extend that, that late boat into Wednesdays on the proposed schedule. So, even again, if they have things on Mondays or Tuesdays, discussing with them to move it to a Wednesday or Thursday would be phenomenal.
But it's usually, I'm talking about, like the spring sports dinner or a graduation
Yeah, awards.
award ceremony. Sometimes they go later than 7. But if they could do it on a Thursday instead of a Wednesday, then the crew isn't sitting around for 2 hours. It's a Thursday, the crew just gets an extra hour. Kind of thing.
Yes, yeah, that sounds great.
So in the meantime, I think we should probably just reach out to the school. Even before our next
Right,
meeting.
just a
Yeah.
letter saying,
Yep.
can you please consider
Yep.
moving, events seem to happen on Wednesday nights, can we, with 4 months' notice, can you move these events to, is there a possibility you could move them to a Thursday night happening in the spring?
Like that.
Well, the whole academic year, but
Yeah,
So is that an agenda item?
Maybe when we get a response, we could discuss it and see what they say.
I'm sorry, did we want to do that in the form of a letter or we just, to the school?
Email, letter.
I think it should be a paper trail.
Yeah.
We had 2026 ferry scheduled for an agenda item that was pushed.
Oh, yeah.
the tariff, the,
Winter
Put that word
surcharge.
Surcharge.
Yep.
What have we got? Second would be a little bit early, January 2nd. Be the next Thursday after the holidays, 2 weeks.
We're gonna do an evening.
It would be,
I'd prefer not to.
Given that we just had the meeting,
we probably,
we talked about doing them once a month,
yeah,
having one meeting at 4:30 and one meeting at 9.
there's no need for us to meet in between
There's
Christmas
still a
and New
little bit,
Year's.
still a little business though.
How about the 8th, that we
Yeah.
have our regular 9 o'clock? Thursday, the 8th.
That should work for me.
I might be out of town, but I could zoom in.
so the 8th at 9? Okay.
Yeah, that's really well.
So the only thing that was brought up that I don't know if needs to be discussed before then, definitely the schedule committee, I would imagine, can meet to discuss Kelsey's request that came in last night.
Mhm.
Not sure if that would just fall under the 2020. 2 weeks, it's 2026. That would just fall under that 2026 schedule for the next meeting.
Easy for me to say.
That's good.
So we're gonna wait 3 weeks to discuss it.
No, not,
No, beforehand.
Or the
Committee.
scheduling committee will,
yeah,
okay,
with Miffle, probably figure out what's possible.
I'm not going anywhere for Christmas or anything, so I'm around.
I'm not. Are you? Do we do like Monday the 5th? Yeah, the week of Christmas and the week of the 29th, I'm not around.
Do you think it's too long to wait till the 8th?
I think they're talking
Well,
about
it's about
they're talking
scheduling
about the
committee.
scheduling
This
committee. Yeah.
scheduling committee meeting with Miffle.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, if that works for you.
I mean,
I'll
do
make it.
we,
Probably,
do we already know the answer to this question?
I think we do, but
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday works, probably either. I could probably make any time work.
I can email between the three of us out.
I could do Friday the 2nd if we want to push it up a little bit, but I don't.
We'll just get an email going.
That's right, Thursday's the first. It's off by today. I was thinking it was Wednesday. Any other agenda items? If not, I'm gonna open up to public comment.
Well, I just have one comment that I think this group of people might be able to help with. That is, so far, we don't have any candidates for sanitary district. And there will be an open seat for sure
In the April election.
in the April election.
I'll do it.
It's an elected position.
It's elected.
It's elected
Yeah.
position.
Very much
So
so.
it's on the ballot.
It'll be on the ballot. It'd be nice if there was a name on the ballot. But anyhow, just, that's my public.
When do you
comment.
know when papers are due?
I think like January 2nd, I think is the deadline, something, it's right after the first of the
You should
year.
convince my dad.
Your dad was my first thought, but those meetings would be so long.
Anyhow, that's all I have to say.
I don't know if you were here for first public comment, but Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, to you guys as well.
Thank you.
Next up, review of Mifflin management contract.
I'd like to move that we go into private, closed session under state statute 19.85, paren 1, paren E, deliberating, negotiating, purchasing, et cetera,
Okay, roll call vote for this. Mary Ross,
Aye.
Susan Widmar,
yes.
Michael Collins,
Yes.
Evan Erickson.